Let's talk about U.S. geography. I'm going to share resources and tips for studying U.S. geography, but doing it well. Hi, I am Rachel from 7 and All. I'm a second generation homeschooler. And yeah, today I'm going to share some resources for studying the U.S. states and U.S. geography with you, and kind of just share some tips and some concepts and ideas about doing a good job with this study and not making it just a gimmicky, fun fact, fill in the blank kind of study. I know I have a lot of international viewers on this channel, so I'm sorry. I know that this video is not content targeted at you. I have a lot of other videos you can watch. But this is a real need, and it is a real thing that US-based homeschoolers study. And so I want to talk about it, share some really great resources, and share tips on just how to do a really good job when we study this topic. There are a couple different approaches you might want to take when studying US states and US geography. Number one, you might be looking to do a very in-depth study of your own state's history and geography. In some states, that's actually a requirement. So if you're looking to do that, you might definitely want to look and see if your state has any special curriculum resources they offer. And you're probably going to need to pull resources from several different places if you're trying to fill in like a full year study on your state's history. But your state very well may offer a specific curriculum and resources for use for that. But besides the need to study our own particular state where we live, a lot of homeschoolers really like to study the geography, history, and interesting things about all 50 states and our territories as well of the USA. So, what are some ways you can do that? One, you could take one homeschool year and choose to make it probably a history light year, but a geography heavy year, and do a full year just journey through the US, adventure through the whole US, and study all the states in 1 year. That's one option you can take. Beautiful Feet Books just released a new geography study that's for the US, and it's for early elementary grades. It is picture book based, and that is meant to be a full year journey just adventuring through the geography of the US. That could be done in a year. It could be spread out over several years as well. There's different ways for you to use it. It's up to you, but that's one resource I wanted to recommend. Another really cool idea and way to study US geography is to just study a handful of states a year, and then the next year study another handful of states and kind of slowly make your way around the country. This is the approach that Katie from Life in the Mundane uses, and she's talked about that several times on her channel. Their family chooses maybe 5 states a year to go through, and every year they'll spend a few weeks, a month, or longer studying a particular state. So you could think about whether that might work for you and your family's need to study states. When I was looking into US geography resources, there's a lot out there, and there's a lot out there that's actually free. But I was a little bit disappointed in what I found. And because I was disappointed, I decided to do what I like to do, and to go ahead and start creating state-based studies on my own that kind of fit my vision of what we should be learning when we do a study of a particular state like Michigan. And I'm going to show you what I've created, because this is a new release from Where'd You Learn That? I'll show you what I've created, but I'll also be talking to you and giving you concepts that even if you can't use my resources, then you could apply these concepts to your own studies with your own children. Now, before I get into the resources I've created, I do just want to share a couple other really cool resources. This is a series that is available for the entire USA. These are alphabet books by Sleeping Bear Press. This is M is for mitten, but they have them for all states of the US, and they are themed along the alphabet, but they're not just M is for mitten. They will have the little rhyming couplet right here on the page, but then at the side they will have a whole paragraph that gives you more information about the little cute couplet. They'll give you more in-depth information on the side, and you can easily use these books as kind of a starting point and then go further. The pictures are very beautiful, realistic, and well done. And I just think this is a really cool series of books. Something else to note, and I will link this down below. I'm gonna leave links to everything I mentioned, by the way, but I'll link this down below. There are free kind of teacher's guides that are printable, available on the Sleeping Bear Press website. I will say they vary in quality. The one for Michigan is actually pretty cool. It's a list of extension ideas for each letter, but and for many of the others, they're actually activity pages that you can print off that kind of go along with the topics covered in each book. I'll just warn you, they're not the most exciting activity pages I've ever seen or most well done. I've been writing activity pages for curriculum companies, including my own, for several years, and I can be a little bit judgy about activity pages. But that is a resource, it's free. These books are very widely available. I think you can really commonly find them at libraries or on discount bookstores like thrift books. So these are a great option to start with. I also want to mention that School Nest, if you follow her on Instagram, I'll try to put her Instagram page here. She creates a lot of different notebooks for homeschoolers, and she is just releasing or has just released a Michigan themed notebook. So if you're doing an in-depth study of Michigan, that could be a really fun resource. And she's planning to release a whole lot of notebooks for other states of the USA as well. But I wanted to show this resource, and this is our Michigan unit study that is available on our website. Where'd you learn that? Right now. We have another state study. So I'm just going to show you this one as an example. We are following the same format for all of our state studies. Texas is also available as of the time that I'm filming this. And we're going to be working on Arizona next. If you have a vote for us to work on your state next, definitely let me know in the comments below. But these are coming together a little bit slowly. But as I show you what's inside, I want to talk about the vision for this, because this was really sparked by the fact that I was searching for state studies and I wasn't liking what I was finding. I found that there's something very typical to expect in state studies that are available for homeschoolers, available for free online, and that is that they were kind of really gimmicky and focused on fun facts. And I totally understand, as a curriculum creator, it is so much easier when you just take like one template and then you multiply it by 50, and now you have studies for all 50 states. But these templates of filling in all these fun facts about the states, the state reptile, the state bird, the state capital, all these kind of tidbits and fun facts or quirky little facts about the states, it didn't feel like it really gave you a holistic understanding of, but what's actually significant about this state? What actually matters? What do the people who live there really know? What is living there like? What matters in our culture within this state? Because every state in America, it does have different geographic features, different features within the economy. We have our own cultures, our own accents, our own foods. I wanted a state study that wasn't majoring on the minors, that wasn't just talking about fun facts and then leaving it at that. Nothing wrong with fun facts. We are doing some fun facts in here. You gotta have them. But that's not the meat of it. So this is a literature-based study of Michigan. We do have the activity pages. The activity pages are not just something that can be copy and pasted from one state to another. They are unique. Many of them are very, very unique to this state. I will go into that. But we start with a book list. I'm going to try to always include some chapter book recommendations when possible. So Bud, Not Buddy is a very iconic chapter book by Christopher Paul Curtis, which is set in Flint. This is for older kids only. So this is something you're really probably only going to want to do with 10 plus. Of course, use your own judgment. But that is a middle grade reader. We do have just a cute little story if you have younger ones recommended. But Bud Not Buddy is a great and challenging book if you have older kids. We've got some folk music recommended here as well. And then we have our whole book list of recommended picture books that each unit is based on. We've got 2 core books and then extra books recommended. To the greatest extent possible, we also link to YouTube read-alouds of these books just to make it easier to use. I know that in reality it can be really hard to get to the library and find all the books that you need for a unit study. And like, because we don't have a public library. We don't live in the US. So it would be kind of impossible for us ourselves to do it. So this is how I do all of my literature-based units. I try to include YouTube read aloud links or digital versions when possible, although of course it's ideal to have the physical book to be able to get it. And something that you'll notice about our literature is it's not a bunch of versions of M is for Mitten. We do include this book. It's a great book. But these books are not just Michigan Fun Facts books. Like here, we have Fresh Picked Poetry, A Day at the Farmer's Market. This is the picture book choice for this unit because in this unit we are focusing about the importance of produce farming and fruit farming in Michigan and the importance of farmers markets and farm to table movement within Michigan. This is a really big part of the culture. It's been a big part of my Michigan family's culture as well. So we are including this and exploring it through story right there. We have a book featuring a lighthouse. Lighthouses are very important in Michigan history. So we have different kinds of books like this. We talk about the Joe Louis fight. We have So Tall Within, Sojourner's Long Walk Toward Freedom, Sojourner Truth was not born in Michigan, but she lived a significant part of her life in Michigan. Gary D. Schmidt is a Michigan author, so a Michigan-based author, and it's an excellent book. So we also kind of can explore the lives of people who have lived some portion of their lives in Michigan. In my Wait Begin Here note, I talk about, although we're doing state studies and we're focusing on state history more in modern times, it's important to remember that the history of the land, the history of the peoples that lived there, didn't actually begin when it became a state. And talk about this right here. We do have a tentative kind of schedule just to help you picture what it might look like if you want to do one unit in a week. We schedule out each unit for you with the suggested activities and readers. And then here, this is unit 1. This is your map to the unit, your little guide to what are you actually doing in this unit. We have our 2 fast facts that we're learning, our 2 learning statements on key, let's say, subjects. So we might have history and geography. In other ones, we will have different subjects. It won't always be history and geography. We have 2 core books, Mail by the Pail, which is a Great Lakes-based book. Here, Magic Trash. That is a Detroit-based picture book right there. We also have a song. There's always a song in every unit, and we really like to include music that is connected to the state somehow in our state studies. Then we will have our Take It Further activities. So this goes beyond just the learning statements and the books, but we can take it further. By the way, for each learning statement, the fast facts and the learning statements, we have little cards to help you review these really quickly and visually with your kids. So we have these cards. I cut out the first unit's cards, but we have visual cards for every unit as well. So you have kind of a visual reminder of the different key topics that we introduce that you can cut these out. You could put them on a ring. You can just go through each unit's cards and review old unit's cards as you go through. Then we always have field trip ideas. So if you're based in Michigan or planning a trip to Michigan, that can be a helpful idea. We've got some activity pages, and sometimes we have activity ideas that are not page-based necessarily. Then we have our What's the Story section. So I'm not just recommending picture books to you and then letting you figure out all the information you're supposed to take away on your own. We actually have factual little reading selections in here that I wrote, and I purposely wrote them aimed at the kind of upper elementary age level when you would probably be doing this, mid to upper elementary. I suggest probably 3rd grade and up for your oldest child. So we write about the significance of the Great Lakes. There's our Detroit city skyline. Then we're talking about Detroit and the history of Detroit, the significance of Detroit in Michigan. Of course, you can go further than this, but I'm giving you right here in the study something you can read aloud with your kids, something you can give your kids to read aloud. And then, besides that parent guide, we then have our activity book, where we have different activities. We have a Michigan map that your children can build on as they go. We have little cutouts that you can glue on. These are just for our core topics for each day. And then we have really fun and interactive activity pages. And these are, again, they're not just something that's going to be copy and pasted between every state. They are uniquely designed lake superlatives, awarding the superlatives to each lake of the 5 Great Lakes. And you can kind of draw pictures or design an award. Here we have our American robin, the beautiful state bird of Michigan. Here we have Michigan place names, and I thought this was so fun just because Michigan is so chock full of names that are just so fun to say. They have a lot of history, a lot of cultural reasons why they got their names. Ypsilanti, Kalamazoo, yes, Kalamazoo is a real place. Sault Ste. Marie, Muskegon, Holland, a lot of these places are very close to my heart. We do have an answer key in case to make that one a little bit easier. We do get to go into Latin because, yes, Latin is cool. Even if I don't argue that you should learn the entire language, we go into the motto of our state and we kind of learn a little bit about Latin roots. Here we have a planning a trip to the UP page. That's for the unit where we learn about the UP. Another coloring page for brook trout. State flag coloring. In the units we get a whole long explanation of Michigan's very interesting state flag. Here's our other unit here. I think it's the 3rd unit where we get to do the state flag. But I always have our what's the story. We're learning about the significance of white-tailed deer in Michigan. We learn Henry Ford's story. Which is not the story of an unparalleled hero. It's not the story of, it's a complicated story, right? He's a person with big ideas, and I say quite clearly, not all of them being good ideas. I have a note to the teacher here about kind of the importance of not teaching about people in history as necessarily moral heroes, but teaching about what they did and kind of all of what they did at an age-appropriate level. So we do talk about some of his terrible ideas as well, and the impact that the extra impact that his ideas had because he was such an influential person. We talk about his anti-Semitic writings and the negative impact of them. Then we get to go into Kellogg's in one of our units, and because we're learning about Kellogg's, we talk about how breakfast cereals were initially marketed as health foods, but nowadays they don't necessarily have the reputation of being a health food anymore, and we talk about why. What are some of the good and bad things about breakfast cereal, and have your kids explore that. We have a drawing activity with a basic outline of Mighty Mac. We do a little bit of fun facts. Go into learning about the eastern white pine. This is an open-ended activity for choosing one of the important Michigan people. It could be one that we talk about in our unit, or your child could find their own important Michigan person that they would like to explore more about. We talk about identifying where our produce comes from, and in the unit we get to talk about the history of small-time farming in Michigan. We talk about Coney Islands, those very classic, iconic diners. And then at the end, we had to pick and choose what topics we went into in this study, but at the end I give you opportunities to go on different rabbit trails. What was the Flint water crisis? It's a very recent, very big issue in Michigan. What is a dune if we want to go more into geography and scientific features? What are pasties? What was Motown? So there's so many rabbit trails you could go down. We couldn't make the unit study endless, but I did want to give you the opportunity to take it further. And that's something that you can expect with all of our state studies coming up, is that we will really be paying attention to intentionally including information and applications that actually matter about the state, not just fun facts that your child's going to fill out in their 50-state notebook and kind of jumble up over time. It's not just about them knowing the state capital and the state bird and the state flower. Yes, they will learn that, but we're going to go into what's the role that Michigan plays in history? What's the role that Texas plays in history? What are culturally significant factors about this state. So you can find my state studies on my website, and I only have a few of them right now, but more will be coming. But in the meantime, this is really what I recommend when you're doing state studies with your kids. Don't just focus on like the Sleeping Bear Press books and kind of tidbits and fun facts, but find ways to figure out, what is very iconic food? What's the iconic music? Can we read books by authors from that state, authors who grew up and are telling actual stories set in the state rather than just listing out cutesy facts about the state? Try to get to the heart of what matters to learn about this state, what's important in its geography, economics, history, and culture. So that's what I highly recommend for you guys today. If you want to see more from my Texas state study, just go ahead and look at the link. It'll be right down below. I have a whole bunch of pictures on it on the website. And I hope you enjoyed this video, and leave me down your votes in the comments of what state we should do after Arizona. Bye!